In the heart of a city under siege, where the echoes of explosions and the distant wail of sirens were a constant reminder of the ongoing conflict, Captain Alex Mitchell and Dr. Emily Carter found themselves bound by duty and an unexpected love. Captain Alex Mitchell, a tall, muscular man in his early 30s, with short-cropped brown hair and piercing green eyes, moved through the streets with the precision of a seasoned soldier. His rugged, handsome face bore the signs of fatigue and determination. As he navigated through the rubble of what used to be a bustling marketplace, his thoughts were interrupted by the cries of the wounded. He turned a corner and came upon a makeshift medical tent. Inside, a petite woman in her late 20s with long, wavy auburn hair tied back in a ponytail was tending to a child's injury. Her warm hazel eyes and gentle presence brought a sense of calm to the chaotic surroundings. This was Dr. Emily Carter. "Doctor, do you need any help?" Alex asked, his voice steady despite the urgency in the air. Emily looked up, her face smudged with dirt but radiating kindness. "We could use all the help we can get, Captain. There are more injured than we have hands to care for." Without another word, Alex rolled up his sleeves and began assisting, moving the injured to the tent, fetching supplies, and providing whatever support he could. As the hours passed, the two worked side by side, an unspoken bond forming between them. Days turned into weeks, and the siege showed no signs of letting up. The city, once vibrant and full of life, now lay in ruins. Amidst the destruction, Alex and Emily found moments of solace in each other's company. They shared stories of their lives before the war, their hopes, and their fears. Alex spoke of his time in the military, the friends he had lost, and the burden of command. Emily shared her journey to becoming a doctor, her dedication to saving lives, and the heartbreak of losing patients. One evening, after a particularly harrowing day, they sat together outside the tent, the night air cool and filled with the distant sounds of conflict. "It's hard to believe this was once a place of peace," Emily said softly, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of a nearby fire. Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "It's a different world now. But we have to hold on to the hope that it can be that way again." Emily turned to him, her expression earnest. "And we have to hold on to each other. We can't do this alone." Their eyes met, and in that moment, something shifted between them. Alex reached out, taking Emily's hand in his. "You're right. We're stronger together." As the days wore on, their bond deepened. They became each other's rock, drawing strength from their shared resolve. But the war took its toll. The medical supplies dwindled, and the injured continued to pour in. Emily worked tirelessly, her determination unwavering even as exhaustion threatened to overtake her. One night, as she stitched a soldier's wound, her hands began to tremble. Alex, noticing her fatigue, gently took over, his hands steady and sure. "You need to rest, Emily. You're pushing yourself too hard." She shook her head, her eyes filled with tears of frustration. "I can't rest, Alex. These people need me." "They need you alive and well," he said firmly. "You can't help them if you collapse." Reluctantly, Emily allowed herself a brief respite. She lay down on a makeshift cot, her body heavy with weariness. As she drifted off to sleep, she felt a blanket being draped over her and looked up to see Alex standing over her, his expression one of deep concern. "Thank you," she murmured, her eyes closing. "Rest well," he replied softly. "I'll keep watch." In the stillness of the night, Alex watched over her, his heart heavy with the weight of their circumstances. He had seen many horrors in his time as a soldier, but none had affected him as deeply as this. The thought of losing Emily was unbearable. As dawn broke, the sound of gunfire jolted Alex from his thoughts. He sprang into action, his military training taking over. "Emily, wake up. We need to move. Emily awoke instantly, her medical instincts kicking in. Together, they hurried to evacuate the injured, their movements synchronized by necessity and familiarity. As they worked, Alex couldn't help but steal glances at Emily, his admiration for her growing with each passing moment. The attack was relentless, and casualties mounted. Alex and Emily found themselves pinned down in a narrow alley, the walls closing in around them. "We need to find a way out," Alex said, his voice tense. Emily nodded, her mind racing. "There's an old underground passage nearby. It leads to a safer part of the city." "Let's go," Alex said, his hand finding hers. They moved quickly, ducking and weaving through the rubble until they reached the entrance to the passage. It was dark and claustrophobic, but it offered a chance at safety. As they made their way through the tunnel, the sounds of battle faded, replaced by the eerie silence of the underground. Emily's hand tightened around Alex's, her fear palpable. "Do you think we'll make it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have to," Alex replied, his determination unwavering. "We have each other. That's enough." They emerged into the safety of an abandoned building, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. For a moment, they simply stood there, the weight of their ordeal pressing down on them. Then, without warning, Alex pulled Emily into his arms, his embrace fierce and protective. "I thought I might lose you," he said, his voice breaking. Emily clung to him, her tears falling freely. "You won't. I promise." In that moment, they knew their connection was more than just a bond forged in adversity. It was love, pure and undeniable. Despite the horrors surrounding them, they had found something beautiful and true. As the siege continued, Alex and Emily became an inseparable team. They worked together to set up a more secure medical station, gathering whatever supplies they could find and recruiting volunteers to help. The community, inspired by their dedication and bravery, began to rally around them. One evening, as they sat together in the dim light of a candle, Alex reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. He handed it to Emily, his expression tender. "This was my mother," he said. "She always told me to find something worth fighting for." Emily studied the photograph, her heart swelling with emotion. "And have you found it?" she asked, looking up at him. "I have," he replied, his eyes locking onto hers. "It's you, Emily. You're what I'm fighting for." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she took his hand. "And you're my reason, Alex. You're my strength." In the midst of war, their love became a beacon of hope for those around them. They faced each day with renewed determination, knowing that their bond gave them the courage to endure. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with, their love a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As the conflict dragged on, rumors of a potential ceasefire began to circulate. The possibility of peace brought a mix of hope and uncertainty. Alex and Emily knew that even if the fighting stopped, the road to recovery would be long and arduous. One day, as they were tending to the injured, a messenger arrived with news that the siege was finally over. The city had been liberated. Cheers erupted around them, but Alex and Emily exchanged a look of quiet relief. Their fight was far from over, but they had taken the first step towards rebuilding. In the days that followed, the city began to heal. People emerged from hiding, and a sense of normalcy slowly returned. Alex and Emily continued their work, providing medical care and support to those in need. Their love, forged in the crucible of war, grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as they stood on a hill overlooking the city, Alex wrapped his arms around Emily, pulling her close. "We made it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "We did," Emily replied, leaning into him. "And we'll keep going. Together." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the ruins, They knew their journey was far from over. But with each other by their side, they were ready to face whatever came next. In the midst of devastation, they had found something precious, a love that could withstand anything.